Welcome to the College Kids 8 Ball March Madness Special. Thank you guys for joining us. We're here to preview and also review the games that have already gone on. How's your day going, 8 Ball?
So far, so good.
Every day's a good day, huh?
Yes, it is.
You ready to go through these games?
Let's get to it.
All right, so in the first round, we had UConn, of course, take out Stetson. That was a no-brainer. Then advanced to Northwestern, and they beat Northwestern. Now they're getting ready to verse San Diego State. Northwestern beat Florida Atlantic. Were you surprised by any of these upsets first round? Maybe by Yale going up and beating Auburn, or Duquesne beating BYU? Any upsets that surprise you?
So I definitely think Yale was probably the biggest upset of the first round. I mean, Auburn looked like a really good team defensively, offensively. They looked very sound. It's one of those teams you thought were going to make a deep run maybe. And, Yale took a 2-point win. And Yale advanced. They played San Diego State, and they got smoked the second round.
How about the St. Mary's team? St. Mary's ended up losing to Grand Canyon. Then Grand Canyon went up against Alabama. And now UNC is going to verse Alabama in a fast-paced probably shootout. What do you think of this Alabama team? Do you think they're for real? Do you think they have what it takes to beat UNC in advance?
So Alabama's like the new age of basketball, dunks, threes, no mid-range, fast pace. I just don't think that's a championship level team in terms of their style of play. They're going to run track meets, and eventually you have to get stops.
Yeah.
So they're going to go up against UNC. I think they're 4-point dogs. UNC hasn't looked as the most consistent team, but they've looked good in the tournament so far. I think UNC is going to win this game. I don't know if they cover, but I definitely see them advancing.
Okay. And first round, we also had Dayton beat Nevada. Somehow. I had Nevada. They were up about, 18?
Yep. I think Dayton went on a 25-4 run the last 7 minutes. It's like Nevada forgot to play basketball.
It's nuts. And they ended up losing that game. Then Dayton went to Arizona, and they ended up Dayton won that game. Then they ended up going up against Arizona, and they lost that one by 10 points. And Arizona beat Long Beach State the first half of that game. That was pretty close. We actually had Long Beach State plus 20.5. Thank God we had that half point because the game landed on 20, so we had that hook. Ended up saving us. Now, when we go on the right side of the bracket, we had Houston. They beat Longwood. Then they just beat Texas A&M in a game that
Overtime.
195 points scored in the game, close game. Texas A&M hit that bucket at the end to send it to OT. I mean, a lot of people were talking about the refs in that game and how they were talking about how, Texas A&M was getting all these calls. They were going to the free throw line a lot. But what people fail to realize is going into this game, Houston is one of the worst teams in the nation in personal fouls per possession. They're like 320 or something out of 360 teams.
They're one of the most aggressive teams in terms of their style of play, so of course they're going to be fouling a lot.
Yeah, and on top of that, Texas A&M, guess what? They're a top 30 team in getting to the line. And when you look at percentage of points from the free throw line, they are top 30 in the nation. So you combine that with the Houston team that fouls a lot, of course they're going to get to the line. So that's what people didn't, factor in going into this game. The difference, big difference in this one, the reason why this game went to OT was Texas A&M out-rebounded Houston on the offensive board battle like crazy.
Well, they've been one of the best boarding teams in the nation. I think they're fifth rebounding percentage.
Both teams are top 5.
Yeah.
Texas A&M and Houston are both top 5 in rebounding, I think offensive rebounding. So for that big of a discrepancy to happen is that was what I didn't necessarily foresee going into the game. The free throws, everything, that was accounted for. But that was a outlier that was hard to predict. We also had, A&M took out Nebraska. James Madison was a big upset against Wisconsin. We actually had James Madison on the spread, and we had the money line. So that was a big one for us. They ended up going up against Duke. It was, close in the first half, a little bit closer at least. I mean, the final score, they almost lost.
Duke ran them off the court.
40 points, yeah. Duke beat Vermont. We had another upset, NC State over Texas Tech. That was another upset. Then they versed Oakland, which was another upset in the first round. Oakland beat Kentucky. Did you expect that?
I mean, Kentucky's style of play, the way they've played all season long, certain stretches, they can't get stops.
Yeah.
So you knew this Oakland team would hover around. If you leave a team like that hovering around, eventually they're going to make you pay. And we've seen the last couple of tournaments, Kentucky, they can't close teams out. And I think it's because they're so young every year. Calipari recruits these freshmen, and they're going up against seniors in Oakland. Yeah. And I think it causes them a problem because obviously all these guys are going to the NBA. The kids on Oakland, they're not going to the NBA, but they're more seasoned. They have more games under their belt, and they know how to play under pressure.
I have a question. Do you think Calipari is an overrated coach right now?
I don't think he's an overrated coach. He obviously hasn't, gotten the level of success as he did prior, but I think it's just about not drafting, but recruiting all freshmen and having a bunch of 18-year-olds versus, other teams that have seniors.
Yeah. It's a matter of experience and season.
I think it's a disadvantage for them.
Yeah, being seasoned. Oakland beat them in a big upset. It was actually like we killed it the first round, and we killed it the second round. We've been killing all March Madness. We've been going on a blazing run. But that was one of the games we lost. We had Kentucky, unfortunately. We ended up losing that one. But Colorado versus Florida. We had Colorado. That was a nail-biter.
100-102, wow.
Yeah, 202 points. If you saw the score, you didn't know what teams were playing, you would have thought it was an NBA game. That's how many points they scored, 202. And then Colorado, the next round, took it to Marquette, and that game was a 4-point game. It landed right on the spread on 4. Yep. Like, they came back that second half, and they fought. They almost won that game. That was another big one. Then we had Purdue, of course. They beat Grambling State. Purdue beat Utah State like it was nothing. Purdue, I think they're 11-0 against top 25 teams.
They're smoking their competition right now in this tournament.
They're smoking everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. They're saying, look, we got the biggest guy on the court, and we're the baddest team on the court.
I don't think they're going to be tested until they play a team with the same level of talent as they have.
Yeah,
one of those big number one teams, one of those big schools.
I think if there's a kryptonite for Purdue this year, they're 11-0 against top 25 teams, which is, amazing feat. You rarely see that, but they turn it over a little bit. I think they're ranked 150th, around 120th in turnovers per possession. And the problem is if they verse a team full of all guards and they pull Edey out, just like we saw the last couple years with, I think it was St. Peter's they lost to, which was a big upset, and Fairleigh Dickinson. Both teams were very small, played with a lot of guards, and they brought Edey out from the lane, and that's what changed those games, the reason they upset them. So it depends going forward if they verse a team like that.
Well, I think going forward, if they do match up with Tennessee in the next round, I think Tennessee has a really good shot to upset them.
First, they got to get through Gonzaga. Gonzaga's been playing some good ball.
They have.
They beat McNeese by 21, and then they crushed Kansas.
You know what? They're smart. They take care of the basketball, so it keeps them in every game.
They didn't just beat Kansas. They crushed them by 21 points, and they crushed McNeese by 20 points. Gonzaga, they're a team that people thought this year they weren't going to be as good. Coming into the tournament, they're like, Gonzaga's not as good as usual, whatever the case is. But, here we are. They're going up against Purdue. They're still playing that smart basketball, fundamental.
5.5-point dogs.
5.5-point dogs against Purdue. This is the challenge. This is the test, right? And then you had Sanford. Sanford almost took out Kansas. What about that one?
Controversial call. The kid blocked it. It was clean. Refs overreacted. Refs like to blow the whistle before actually, seeing it happen. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so we had Sanford in that game, plus the points. We cashed
Sanford plus the points and money line split on that one.
Yeah, we also nibbled on the money line as well. Oregon beat South Carolina, then just beat them. They crushed them by 14 points. And then they versed Creighton next round.
Double OT had Oregon plus 4. Goes to OT, you're like, goes to the next OT, you're dead.
And think about that. Double OT, right? But Creighton won by 13 points.
Yeah.
I
think they only scored 2 points, Oregon, in double OT.
Yeah, that has to suck if you're Oregon, better there.
They ran out of gas.
To have your, bet Oregon to go double OT just to lose by 13 points,
That's March.
Yeah, welcome to March Madness. Texas, later on, they ended up beating Colorado State and then lost to Tennessee in a close game. Tennessee ended up beating them by 4 points.
Tennessee had to lead the whole game, but Texas made it interesting.
So do you have any opinions on the games coming up when it comes to Purdue, Gonzaga? We have Creighton, Tennessee left. North Carolina, Alabama, you already talked about that one. Or Clemson versus Arizona.
So I'm still going over all the games, but 2 games caught my eye. Clemson and Arizona, 6 seed versus 2 seed. Clemson pulls off 2 upsets so far. They've dominated both games. They were dogs to New Mexico, 2-point dogs. Dominated them from the jump. And then they were 4-point dogs against Baylor, and they controlled the entire game there.
Yeah.
So looking at this, this matchup here, Arizona's 6-3 against top 25 teams. Clemson's 2-3. Arizona's 11-5 against top 100 teams. Clemson's 5-4. Both these teams are very even in terms of shooting, offensive efficiency. Arizona has a slight edge there, but when it comes to rebounding, Arizona has a big edge there. But one stat I found very interesting is though Arizona can shoot the 3, they get the majority of their points from the 2. So Clemson's top 50 in opponent points from 2. They played New Mexico, who's top 18. They held them to 30% from the field. They played Baylor, who was the 11th ranked offense in all basketball in terms of offensive efficiency. They kept them to 39% from the field. They kept them to 25% from 3. So despite what they've done all year, the Clemson defense right now, they're on a different level. They're holding opponents to, percentages way below their average. So I think you're getting 7.5 in this game. You can force Arizona. If Arizona's not making those threes, I think this game's going to get tighter than people expect it to be.
Yeah.
I think they're going to hang around. And I'm not saying they're going to pull off the upset, but they're playing smart basketball. Their guys on offense are all clicking right now. So if they keep up that defense that they've been playing, especially against Baylor, Baylor's one of the best offenses in the country, and they destroy them basically.
Yeah.
So I think they can make this game very interesting. Arizona has not been tested yet. They've been spoon-fed, bums right now. They played Long Beach State, I think, and
they beat
Dayton's a solid team, but Dayton was never going to match them offensively.
Yeah.
I think Clemson can make this game very interesting.
I mean, I have a question. So do you think when it comes to Arizona, we had last year, I believe they lost to Princeton, am I correct? It was
Yes.
Princeton. So do you see any weaknesses last year? Last year, I think their weakness was they turned the ball over a little bit too much. This year, do you see any weaknesses with that team that Clemson's going to exploit specifically?
Not anything specifically, but Arizona is one of those teams where those West Coast teams, they play the West Coast teams. And a lot of times, I'm not saying they're soft, but last year they got punched in the mouth. And the year before, they got punched in the mouth. And they couldn't respond. They played TCU the year before. They were I think the favorite to win it all, 6-1. They lost to TCU. TCU played, hard basketball. They fouled you, and they made it tough on them. And Arizona just couldn't respond.
That physical
and then last year,
defense.
the big guy from Princeton, he made it tough on them. And Princeton slowed down the game, and they just played a tight game where Arizona did not respond. And now they have, Caleb Love controls the game. And offense looks great. The defense looks great, but what are they going to do when they're tested? Yeah. And I think Clemson might test them.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, going forward, you never know. It's March. 6 seed versus 2 seed. Arizona, one of the favorites to win this year. Again, Purdue, also one of the favorites. But we also have Houston, who went to OT against Texas A&M. They're versus Duke. Do you see anything special about Duke this year? I know many other years people talk about Duke and talk about, they might just do it this year. They no longer have Coach K. It's totally different. It's a little bit of a different program. Now they're going up against Houston. And, Duke is taking care of business. They crushed James Madison by almost 40. They beat Vermont by, I believe, almost 20. Whereas Houston, they struggled against A&M a little bit. Is there any cause for concern for Houston?
So there is. Duke's a great team. Houston's a great team. But every time you watch a tournament game, you get to the next round, the picture gets more clear. To me, Duke, it's gotten more clear. They don't lose to teams that are inferior to them.
Yeah.
They took care of Vermont, took care of James Madison. Those teams inferior in talent. In terms of playing Houston, you're playing a team that has more talent than you right now.
Yeah.
And I think there was a stat that came out today, where Duke's never beaten a team that's been a higher seed than them in the tournament.
Wow.
So just
something to know.
Just something to know.
Yeah.
I think Houston wins that game, but that's going to be a tight game. I think the public's going to be all over Duke after watching Houston, almost give it up against Texas A&M. But I do think Houston wins that game. Have not touched anything yet.
So the lowest seed left remaining in the March Madness tournament is NC State, an 11 seed. They're versus Marquette, a 2 seed. Is there a dog barking somewhere or no?
Yeah, Marquette has not impressed me this tournament. They were down to Kentucky at halftime. Colorado State jumped all over them in the second half, so they've been very inconsistent. NC State, meanwhile, they pulled off the upset of first round, 5.5-point dogs. They went outright against Texas Tech by double digits. They played Oakland neck and neck, and then they took it away at the end. I think it was overtime. So I smell an upset here. I think NC State is actually playing better basketball this time.
We got an upset coming, maybe. Welcome to March Madness. All right, where can we find you at? On Twitter, social media?
At the 8 ball, the 8, the number 8, ALL. And same thing on Instagram, at the 8 ball _. And you can find me at thephillygodfather.com.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I want to go over the Illinois and Iowa State game.
Yes, let's go over it. Illinois, Iowa State.
So Iowa State's 1.5-point favorite. I think this might be the best game of the weekend.
Wow.
So you have one team, Illinois. I think they're ranked 5th in offensive efficiency, 5th or 6th. And you have Iowa State. They're the second best defensive basketball. Yeah. The difference is Iowa State's the 50th best offensive basketball. Illinois, when it comes to defense, it slips. They go down to 102 or 104 or something. But both these teams can shoot the rock, both ranked in the top 100. The difference is one of these teams can stop the three, the other can't.
Yeah.
So Illinois is ranked 210th in opponent points from the three.
Yeah.
While Illinois, I think they're ranked in the top 50. So I think right there, that might be the difference. When it comes to, basketball and everything, eventually you have to get stops. I'm a big, person when it comes to defense wins championships. Iowa State is 11-5 against top 100 teams. Illinois is 8-6. So when it gets down to the end of the game, this might be a close game, nail-biter throughout, but when it gets down 3-4 minutes, you're running a half-court offense, you need stops. I trust Iowa State to get those stops.
So you're like an Iowa
I think we're going to see Iowa State and UConn. I think that's going to be the next round.
Iowa State, UConn. Can they take out the big UConn?
We'll see.
Number 1 seed? I mean, we're going to see. We have a lot of interesting possible matchups. We could have a UConn-Iowa State matchup. Unless San Diego State wins, who knows? It could be UConn versus Houston. It could be Iowa State versus Houston. That'd be a sight to see. We also have Marquette in that same bracket.
Tennessee still alive.
Tennessee, Purdue, Arizona, North Carolina,
a lot of really
Alabama.
good teams left.
We have some good teams, some teams that play very good basketball. So it's going to be exciting to watch. We might be coming back with another March Madness special, TCK in the April, so make sure to stay tuned for that. You can catch us at TCK_experience on all social media platforms. Make sure to check us out on the PhillyGodfather.com. Again, the PhillyGodfather.com for all of our sports betting moves and all your sports betting needs. Thank you guys very much for listening and watching to the March Madness special with the April.
Thanks for having me.